Hello, everyone. My name's Laura Sonnerborg, and this evening I'm going to be interviewing Daniel about ICE. A little bit about me is that I'm a junior at Gustavus, and I was involved in planning the ICE Out protest last month. And Anaya Moffat, thank you so much for all of your work, has been helping coordinate this podcast interview. So the first question I'll ask you, Daniel, is could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Daniel Abiba. I'm a first year here at Gustavus. Um, I was in the cross country team for the first semester, um, and I'm currently undecided, but I'm just overall glad to be here and glad to have the opportunity.
Yeah, of course. Glad to have you here too. Um, so, Daniel, you're from Columbia Heights,
Yeah,
Minnesota. Could you tell us a little bit about Columbia Heights?
yeah. There's a lot to say about Columbia Heights. If I just had to give a few things, Columbia Heights is known for its diversity. Columbia Heights is so inclusive, in diverse excellence, and it's kind of something that I haven't really looked high upon for a while, um, and like for I've basically lived in Columbia Heights my whole life, um, and I didn't really notice its diversity until I came to Gustavus. It was kind of like the huge jump and just whoa, like this Gustavus is nowhere
Much
near as
less
diverse.
diverse.
Yeah, much less
Yeah.
diverse. Um, and then in Columbia Heights, I was like a normal thing, or it doesn't seem like diversity is just something that I'd see every day. But it kind of hit me hard, like it hit me like a train when I actually came to Gustavus.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. I'm sure that was a big change. And so Columbia Heights, you said, is very diverse. And are there a lot of immigrant communities in Columbia Heights?
Yeah, there is. Just in the education system, when I was in high school or K through 12, it mostly consists of like the Muslim and Hispanic population,
Hmm.
a lot of blacks like myself, and Columbia Heights is known for its diversity in that sense.
Hmm.
So in that case, like that was kind of my guess to why ICE was targeting Columbia Heights
Right.
initially, um, because of its immigrant population, and that really hit home for me.
Hmm. And there's a lot of East African communities in that area too, right?
Yeah, there is. One of my high school friends, his name, who I won't disclose. Yeah, he's been a good friend and he's been someone to talk to. He's East African as well. It's kind of nice, having someone from your high school come with you to the same school as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that must be kind of comforting to have someone you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, thanks for providing some background information about Columbia Heights. And I want to transition to talking about ICE in particular.
Okay.
So, I know that ICE has had presence in Columbia Heights for a long time. What's the first time that you heard about ICE?
Actually, more recent than what you'd think.
Okay.
I actually didn't hear about ICE until it initially started ramping up. So around
Hmm.
2 months ago,
Okay.
or when they first were starting like the operations in the Minneapolis area,
Hmm.
um, and when I heard the news of Renee Good's death, that
Hmm.
was initially like when I said, "Oh shoot, ICE is just like
Yeah, it's a real presence.
yeah, it's right here in my county," and yeah, that kind of made me like realize there needs to be something done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the killings of multiple Minnesotans and people around the country by ICE has been incredibly disheartening and disappointing and
Yeah.
just unacceptable. Um, so, have you or your close family members or friends interacted with ICE?
My family in particular, like my mother and father, they haven't had any like direct conflicts or interactions with ICE, but they have mentioned several sightings of ICE, and where like almost daily they would call me and say, "Hey Daniel, there's ICE near our home. Just letting you know, we're okay." And then I would always, my parents and I would always be so worried and thinking like, "Geez, ICE is right here." And when I even heard when they started appearing in St. Peter, um, I wasn't initially worried because I had a large community here. I had kind of like Gustavus was kind of like my mine and like definitely several others, kind of like protective boundary, if that makes sense. And it kind of opened my eyes in a way.
Yeah. And I'm really sorry to hear about that your family has to see ice and worry, like, am I safe? Like, are they coming for me next? What, like, does your family just stay in their house when they spot ice, or what happens? What does that process look like when ice spottings occur?
Yeah, my family doesn't really think much of it. Um,
Okay.
Initially, they would completely like ignore, kind of remove the like incentive to even react to that.
Yeah.
And as it kind of got like desensitized, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my parents kind of ended up not noticing it as much and kind of got neutral
Yeah.
towards it.
Kind of in a way of like life goes on and this threat is there, but you have to keep going about your day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then how about your friends or community members from Columbia Heights? How have you heard about them interacting with ICE?
Yeah, ever since I initially heard about ICE, I wasn't at home frequently, maybe
Hmm.
just occasionally for some weekends just to check in with my family.
Yeah.
But what I've been hearing over the news and what I've been hearing on social media, especially, um, it almost made it look like a war zone. Like I know social media likes to exaggerate things, but these were sincere. These had genuine like photographic proofs to it, and
Yeah.
it kind of it kind of woke me up. Like I keep mentioning, especially like in my high school, there were several movements after the capture of some of my old classmates at Columbia Heights High School, and the superintendent Zena Stenvik spoke about it to the press and news, um, and it really showed me like, geez, this and this is targeted, and
Yeah. Racially motivated.
yeah, racially motivated too. And
Hmm.
then I when I heard about the 5-year-old kid captured from Valley View Elementary School,
Yeah.
I went to Island Elementary. Valley View is right next to the middle school, and
Hmm.
then that kind of hearing about his capture just really made me upset, and I think it made everyone upset. What occurred, what's been going on, that just took it too far, and there were a lot of claims with the media of the 5-year-old being used as bait. I don't have any evidence towards that, like to say verbally, but I fully believe in it.
It seems to me there's no justification for treating a 5-year-old like that
Yeah,
at all.
that's 100% true.
Hmm. And could you tell us a little bit more about the captures of students from your high school?
Yeah, a lot of my old friends that's still in high school today. When I'd open up social media, I'd see a lot of posts and warnings of ice sightings. A lot of people worrying about mentions where, hey, don't be in this area. Ice sightings or ice activity here, ice activity there, and then
Hmm.
there's just so many different types of like fear just going around. Yeah, it's just honestly crazy to think about. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. One way that I've seen ICE's presence have an impact is even businesses in St. Peter have to lock their doors during open business hours so that ICE can't come in, so that they have to ring the doorbell to be let in. And it just feels a little dystopian, apocalyptic
Right.
that, like,
That's exactly how I describe it, like dystopian.
yeah.
A few weeks ago, I posted on social media,
Hmm.
and I also described how it was like a very dystopian, like interactions with ICE and the public, like the severity of it, and just like the sudden introduction and the sudden like intense amounts of ICE activity
Hmm.
in the Metro Minneapolis area. It's just mind-boggling.
It really is. It's unbelievable, and I think that it seems to be good news that there is now a drawdown
Yeah.
happening of ICE agents in Minnesota, and I just wanted to hear how you feel about that drawdown.
Yeah, I'm honestly super relieved after 2 killings from ICE, after all the tensions, and think I don't know the exact numbers, but I think it's over 1,000 people captured.
Hmm.
To finally hear that they're being drawn back, I think as of early-ish February, it brought a lot of relief, and I felt it. I really felt it, especially online. When I'd go back home after that moment, I went back home one weekend, and then it was just businesses were able to actually open their doors a bit more.
Hmm.
They were more comfortable. Local business aisles or alleys near Columbia Heights in Minneapolis were
Hmm.
starting to become more populated,
Yeah.
and it kind of felt like a rebirth.
Yeah, yeah, that's really powerful. I think that this drawdown has brought hope And even though we can't always trust what the current administration says it will do, we can at least hope that ICE agents will be leaving our great state of Minnesota.
Yeah.
And Daniel, you're a student at Gustavus Adolphus College, and of course, most of the ICE activity has been happening in the Twin Cities, but we are not immune to it here in southern Minnesota.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to ask you how you feel that Gustavus has been handling the ICE situation in the last 2 months.
Yeah, I think Gustavus specifically, there hasn't been a lot of movements like early on, but when I saw the GAC Ice Out movement take initiative, but then when I heard about an ICE sighting just a few blocks from campus, right here
Yeah.
in St. Peter, I don't know the exact details of it, but I did see the video, and 3 ICE agents stopping a woman in traffic and pulling out weapons, drawing their weapons, and threatening and pulling her out of her car.
Yeah.
And she was not even a person of color. Imagine if that was a person of color.
Right.
Would things have gone differently?
Yeah, would they have treated her even worse?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that ICE has been active at mobile home parks, at workplaces, in the community around St. Peter, and it's a scary time. And I know that a lot of people are scared to leave their homes, scared to send their kids to school, and I think that the community has done what it can and has actually been powerful in getting food resources to struggling families and driving employees around to work, driving kids to school. But there's only so much the community can do when the federal government is posing such a major threat to people's lives in unconstitutional and dangerous ways.
Exactly. And yeah, about it being unconstitutional. Just for reference, my last year I took AP US Government and comparative government classes, and just not even a year after seeing all these events and just seeing how many laws and constitutional
Amendments?
constitutional amendments just being broken, and just since the government has the sticker price power to just be able to brush it off with no consequences is unbelievable.
Yeah, the ICE agents that have acted unconstitutionally and have violated, reasonable use of force and things like that absolutely need to be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so, Daniel, I want to ask you as well, what do you wish that people outside of the Twin Cities would understand better about what's going on in the Twin Cities with ICE right now? Is there anything in particular that you think people are misunderstanding?
I think it's very different if you're not living in the state of Minnesota, because I actually spoke with someone that lived in New Jersey not too long ago, about a month. He messaged me on social media asking, hey, how's the ICE activity in Minnesota? He was kind of expecting it to just be not as intense as people in Minnesota are experiencing it.
Yeah.
When I described him the details on how it's like, he was really shocked to hear that.
Yeah.
That it was much, much more dramatic and intense than what he initially thought.
Yeah.
Like he had no idea. It was like almost like a war zone.
Yeah.
In the Minneapolis area. How others out of state view the things that were happening in Minnesota, and still is to this day, is not felt really anywhere else. It's kind of like Minnesota's just kind of left to deal with it on their own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that with your comment about it being a war zone or something like that, there's also been even comparisons drawn to like World War II and Nazi Germany, and how people, because of their identity, were scared to leave their homes because they could be selected based on their appearance and the color of their skin to be taken violently without due process and taken to a detention center and shipped off to another country within 48 hours or some really short time period like that, which is something that makes it incredibly scary because families are broken apart and it can be so hard to bring that family back together.
I don't know the exact details, but I even saw a specific kind of propaganda for reference. It was a propaganda with Adolf Hitler in comparison with current U.S. propaganda, like federally supported in current times during these ICE operations. And there was such a scaringly similarity to those sources of propaganda, and I was like, geez, this really does feel that way.
Yeah.
And this really does feel like a reoccurrence of that.
Yeah, history has a way of repeating itself
Yeah,
sometimes. And some people, I would say, need to wake up and realize that what's going on of people being scared to leave their homes and people not being allowed due process is not normal, not acceptable, not what the United States of America, not how the U.S. should be treating people, that any person, really.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then another question I have for you, Daniel, is what solutions are there? In addition to the drawdown, what can people, Gustavus students or community members or anyone that lives in Minnesota or outside of Minnesota, what can individuals do to help?
Express their needs, express their wants.
Mm-hmm.
If you're scared, if you're doubtful, then express to the world that you're scared and doubtful.
Yeah.
Express it. Don't be afraid to share your feelings with the
Yeah.
people that matter around you, even people you don't know. But the things that's been going on, you need to be able to exert yourself, make sure everyone knows
Yeah.
that everything they say and do needs to get out there.
Yeah.
And this can't be untouched. You need to state what you're feeling. That's the best way to spread that kind of awareness is
Yeah.
you need to spread your personal awareness
Yeah.
because it goes from person to person, and when it goes from person to person, it ends up
Public
growing.
opinion can
Yeah.
shift, and
Public
we
opinion
can
can
vote
shift.
accordingly.
Yeah, and then there'll be more pressure against the federal government,
Yeah.
increasing the chances of things going in our favor.
Yeah, for sure. And I also would add to that. So you talked about people expressing their feelings and expressing their concerns. And I would say other people need to be ready to listen to that and have open eyes and open ears to hear the difficulties that their fellow community members are experiencing and be ready to continue doing. Even as this drawdown passes, people are still scared and people might not be trusting that ICE is leaving at the pace they say they will. So continuing to drive around neighbors, help with food assistance, those sorts of things I think are incredibly useful, and keep doing those things. And I also would say donating to charities that support people that might be at risk right now, and educating yourself on ICE and why it's acting unconstitutionally and who it's targeting. I also recently went to a constitutional observer training that taught me about how to use an ICE whistle, how to film an occurrence and not interfere with what ICE agents might be doing, but how to inform them that there is someone with a camera that is watching them, and to make sure that that video gets to legal bodies and not to put it on social media immediately so that it can actually be used in a court setting. And so I think that there's a lot that people can do, and starting with their neighbors that are being affected and learning and understanding what's going on and the threats that people are experiencing is one of the best things that people can do.
Yeah, and we're living in a documentation-based country, and if things are not documented,
There's no proof.
there's no proof, and almost nothing will go in your favor. And I think all the movements of like including the whistles, telling people to record ICE activity, trained volunteers who willingly get trained to know how to record situations, know how to intervene, know how to use their whistles. All those movements and trainings, it's really, really helped things go in our favor, because I honestly think that if those things weren't happening, ICE would still be on a rampage here in Minnesota. And I think part of the reason why they're starting to go, which I'm super relieved of, is because the public demand and the public outreach that's been going on, the protests, and especially the most recent protest. I think it was around 30,000 protesters marching the streets of Minneapolis. That was such a staking point of U.S. history. With those current events, I think that will reshape the way people look at our country, and people citizens of our country look at themselves.
Yeah, I 100% agree. The protests that have happened in the state of Minnesota have been, I think, extremely impactful in showing the federal government that we care and will not tolerate our neighbors being treated this way.
Exactly.
And I also would add that protests that have happened in the Twin Cities are, super powerful. But it's also important to get out and protest if you're not in the cities, because there are immigrant communities all over the state of Minnesota in rural and suburban and urban areas. And so to show communities all around the state that there are people in your city, like St. Peter, that care, I think is important too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then I have one more question for you. Do you have anything else you want to share that you think people should know about ICE and about your experiences and your community's
Yeah.
experiences?
I think a little bit off topic from ICE, but uh, I think people should know that things like this will continue happening. The world always tends to corrupt. Absolute power is almost guaranteed to corrupt.
Yeah.
Almost always. And people need to know that, and need to know and expect this to happen again, and they need to implement it and learn from this event. So when something happens similar again, when a publicly demanded accusation needs to occur,
Yeah, be ready
know
to
how-
fight back.
be ready to fight back, and
Yeah.
needs to know how to respond. When the first ICE activity initially happened, people were terrified.
Yeah.
People weren't.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. People did not want to protest or engage because they were genuinely fearing for their lives.
Yeah.
People were actually deathly scared, and
Yeah.
and so was I. I was scared. I was scared for my school. I was scared for the people here in St. Peter when I found out they were coming here as well, and I was especially scared for my district. This is where all my treasured memories are, right there in the Columbia Heights district. And seeing all those things occurred, people not only in Columbia Heights, but people around Minnesota need to be prepared for another event like this. And despite all the terrible things that happened, people need to be able to accept that and actually get something from that.
Yeah.
Because
learn something.
yeah, learn something from the traumatic and tragic events, because once
Yeah.
you learn something, then
You can get stronger and be more prepared for
Yeah,
next time. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Hopefully there will not be another ICE surge like this.
Yeah, hopefully.
Really, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, from the looks of it, it seems like they're
Drawing down.
finally drawing down. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, Daniel, anything else to add before we wrap up?
I think that's it, Laura. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for sharing your story. And to anyone listening to this, the GAC Ice Out Instagram is a place where we're sharing information about events that are local in the Mankato, St. Peter area that you can attend to express your distaste for ice and what it's doing. We also share information about ways you can get involved and support our local community. And yeah, I just would encourage everyone to stay vigilant and remember that though ice is drawing down, we still need to be able to support our community members that might be struggling.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Laura.